It's duel time! Who missed me? Raise your hand! Come on! Raise your hand! Not raising your hand. Well, I'm still gonna make a duel video anyway. I'm using agents, whether you like it or not. Well, anyway, this is an agent deck of quite a few months old. I can't remember when I made it. It was quite some time ago. I never really used it. I quite like the agents, not too much, so that's probably why I never used them. Lately I've been thinking, what decks haven't I used yet? There's a lot of decks I have used, a lot that I haven't yet used, so I just went in alphabetical order to check what decks are proper competitive decks that I haven't used yet, and well, my agent deck was the second in the alphabetical order of my over 130 decks. So, well, I went with the agents. And, like, I updated, I believe, one extra deck card. If I even did that, I can't exactly remember. But I just went with it, and I dueled headintheceilingfan, a person I talked to first a couple of days ago, who was a fan of my videos, who I promised to duel for a duel video after my exams, which is now, because my exams ended after Monday. And I quite like his username. I first saw it when I was in admin mode. I just saw him hosting a duel somewhere, and I thought it was pretty funny. Head in the ceiling fan, like, sounds kind of painful. Or he is a fan of having your head in the ceiling, which isn't too good either, I guess. So, yeah. He's using worms. Don't see that deck all too often either. Last time I saw it, I believe, was my deck request for worms, which was quite a while ago. I can't even remember when it was. It was too long ago for that. But yeah, it is time here. And here he attacks with Thunder King. I had a feeling he had Honest, and even if, especially once he asks the you pass thing, I'm like, he has Honest. I know I can stop him with Book of Moon and with Mirror Force. I've been thinking, which one do I go for? In the end, I decided for Book of Moon, because Mirror Force, would he later be able to summon multiple monsters, Mirror Force can take them all in one shot, and Book of Moon can only work on one monster. Unfortunate thing is that I would have been able to save Christia there with Book of Moon and not with Mirror Force. And later on he's actually going to be able to destroy Mirror Force with MST. So, yeah. Now I do draw into Bottomless Trapple to get rid of Thunder King, which is nice. But yeah, I do have cards from the sky, one Mystical Shineball, and then Arclord Christia, and I don't exactly have a lot of fairies in the graveyard. I only have a Herald of Orange Light. So I'm kind of hoping I get a good draw. He has 5 face-down cards. I'm like, what does he have? But he let me attack directly with Christia twice. So he did have Compulsory Evacuation Device, which he could have used sooner, but did not. Probably hoping to get either Honest or Thunder King. I don't know which one he had first. He thought, oh, I can overcome him. I don't need Compulse yet. But I know he has like cards like Monster Reboot and Dark Hole face down, just to distract you from hitting the important traps or having the important traps destroyed and not them. But then he would just leave them in the hand. I still don't completely understand it, but that's what he went for. So now here I make a mistake, I suppose. I went with Master Hyperion here because at the time I added it, I was thinking Herald of Orange Light is an agent. It's not. I knew I wouldn't be able to summon this turn, both through cards because of cards from the sky and Pot of Duality. But here I'm like, oh bleep. Herald of Orange Light is not an agent. I am able to banish Honest, and I like that. But yeah, no agents. I would have added cards from the sky, banish one Christia to draw 2 new cards, and see what I can do from there. I do luckily draw into an agent, which is Agent of Mystery Earth. So I'm like, okay, I can just add one more to my hand, and then just go in there with Hyperion and do some stuff. And then I'll have a couple more fairies in the graveyard later on, and then I'll be able to summon Christia not too long from now. So he's thinking, does play Solemn Warning, knowing that I have Master Hyperion in my hand due to Pot of Duality. So I'm like, it's very likely he has a counter to that. But I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to get rid of the counter at some point, whether it's Bottomless Trap Hole or Compulse or Mirror Force, I don't know. But I'm gonna have to go past that at some point, and I don't have like Dark Bribe or any like a trap negating card. I don't have those in my deck, so I'm like, okay, just summon and attack. Let's go for it. Hopefully this is game, but seeing as we're not even we're just over halfway into the video. He has a counter. He has compulsory evacuation device, sending Hyperion back. And with no agents left in my hand, field, or graveyard, and because they're all banished now, no fairies in my graveyard either, and Monster Reborn already used at the start. I barely ever do that. I did decide on it though. But without agents and without fairies in the grave, I can't really use any card in my hand. I don't have trade-in in this deck. I do have cards from the sky. I might decide on going into trade-in. I have one copy of the Sanctuary in the Sky, which is, I suppose, like, I had 39 cards in this deck back when I last edited it. And I thought, I have one copy of Aged Mercury, I believe it is, the one with 1800 attack. Can make use of Sanctuary in the Sky. Hyperion can do that, and Earth can do that. So I'm like, add that in, see how it works. I'm not really able to do too much with it. Now I play MSD on his face down, and that is Monster Reborn. I'm like, why didn't you use that? But that's my opponent's choice, and I'm not gonna question that too much. I get Herald of Orange Light here. Now here I'm thinking, he has worms. He very likely has a monster effect that he wants to use later on, so I could keep it. But I have Sanctuary in the Sky, so I could play that field spell and play summon Herald of Orange Light, attack into something just to reveal what it is. But then I'm like, yeah, I have Mirror Force once he attacks into me, but I kind of don't want to do that. And he probably has Worm, Yagon, and that's not really going to work too well for my monster either. And it is revealed that he does actually have Worm Yagon. It's actually the monster in the third monster zone that actually is Worm Yagon, so it was good that I not summon Herald of Orange Light, although wouldn't really have mattered. He would have sent it back to my hand, because I believe that's what Yagon does, and it doesn't destroy. I believe it sends back to hand. If it does, then it didn't really matter, because it's mandatory and stuff. Is it? Yagon... yeah, it returns to the owner's hand, so it wouldn't really have mattered too much. But yeah, he plays W Nebula Meteorite, flips his monster face up, adds a monster card rows. I was thinking whether to use Herald of Orange Light. I'm like, I'm gonna allow him to add it. He probably will have a monster effect later on that is more dangerous, which I will want to stop. So he summons Worm King through W Nebula Meteorite's effect. I know he has a Yagon. I know he has a Karros, whose effect can be used again if he just flip summons it, so that'll add another worm to his hand. So he has quite a few options, and I have Hyperion and 2 Crescia, which I can't do anything with really, and Sanctuary in the Sky, which I could use if I actually have a fairy on the field, but I don't. So this deck probably needs some editing. But yeah, Herald of Orange Light is still waiting for a moment to be used, and I'm like, no. Just add a worm to your hand, just do it. Here, I'm gonna take a lot of damage. I know it's not game, so I'm really just hoping that I will draw on something good. Dark Hole, I guess would work, but he still has 2 card roses in his hand, so that won't help me too much. I am honestly really hoping to draw into an agent so I can use Hyperion. Preferably Agent Earth, so I can add another agent and do some extra stuff. Now here he overlays the 2 Worm Carteros into King of the Feral Imps. I'm like, okay, you're not gonna add another card. I'm gonna get rid of both Carteroses and the King Feral Imp at once. I'm gonna throw Herald of Orange Light out there. And the reason I have Herald of Orange Light over Effect Veiler, it does cost an extra card from my hand, and it has to be a fairy as well. But the reason is it negates activation, not just effect, but it negates activation, which can be important for some cards and effects. But the most important thing is it destroys the card. It destroys the card, and that can be very helpful. Unfortunately, I do not draw into an agent. I do draw into MSD. I'm like, that card is going. Starlight Road. He didn't have Starlight Road before, because on that spot he had another card, I believe. I seem to remember. If I'm not correct, then never mind. But if it's true that he didn't have the Starlight Road there from the beginning, then he would have been dead to Heavy Storm. So that's a risk he took. He even revealed later on that he had Dark Hole face down as one of his cards. So Heavy Storm would have been real risk. So he probably did have Starlight Road face down. I can't exactly remember, but if you rewind the video, you'll probably be able to see that. Right, guys, this was Duel 98. We're getting close to 100. I'll see you later.